The first time I heard it, Josh had sent me like a phone recording of him just by himself playing it on acoustic.
It was like the beginning part of the song, and we really liked how that sounded, so we brought it up here to the studio.
I was like, all right, cool, let's make it into a song. This was kind of a writing exercise for me to just be like, I'm gonna write like lyrics that don't really matter at all. And yeah, it was really freeing writing this song, because I just talk about getting messed up in a bar, you know, and that's like the whole point of the song.
Hey was interesting. It was the first song I produced with the band that they actually let me write with them.
Hold that out. We really like working with Michael. He did talk with us too, and we were really happy with how that sounded.
It was kind of understood between the band and myself working on it that it was going to be the thing that departs them from their previous genres.
I remember talking to Chase and asking why we were trying to like contrive songs instead of just playing the stuff that we played for fun in the basement while we were just hanging out and jamming. And that's kind of what these songs are. They're just us hanging out, having fun, and playing music.
Moments glorious slipped away, leaving anguish in its place. Befriended by disgrace, leaves nothing in its wake.
In March of 2020, COVID happened and we stopped playing shows, and I basically told Alex, let's just take advantage of this time and just meet up every day and just write stuff. Essentially every day I would hit record and we would just record our whole practice.
Incubus, it's probably my favorite song on the EP. I feel like the quintessential Lo and Behold sound. It has the same form basically as Talk, and that was like our first song that we ever released that was drastically different from our old stuff.
That one is definitely the most complicated guitar-wise. There's a lot of layers in it. There's another little small solo in that song, but there's just a lot of moving parts in it. I guess how I like to write my guitar parts is to have everything in one guitar part if I can, and try and play as much as I can just by myself in one run through. And that's kind of what happened in Incubus.
I would say from an evolution of sound to this record, even from Talk when we did that single together, was capturing the performance, capturing the feel of what they're doing. So if it wasn't the absolute tightest take, you know, using that and blending that into a take where it's almost perfect, but then like we still retain the human element of it.
This time around, we really wanted to open up the drums and to let basically every like little nuance of the drums and the cymbals to shine. So we kind of like left things a little more open, we left the snare a little more ringy. We kind of just wanted just that bigger than life, like this is an instrument kind of sound. And we were super stoked on the tones that we got. Damn, we don't even need to do it again.
It takes two to tango, not too fast, but not too slow.
Salt was another one that came out of kind of like the COVID practices. I mean, we were kind of just accepting whatever that we were playing. I mean, it didn't really matter if it was like, oh, this sounds like stuff we've already written, or this doesn't sound like, you know, anything like that we've done.
At least for the guitar part, I wrote this one with Chase, and then of course we all jam it together and it gets a lot further along after that. But I was trying to think of like a funkier part, so I decided to do like that kind of offbeat rhythm section at the beginning of it, because I feel like Josh's voice would sound really good in funk music and soul music and stuff like that. So I want to take advantage of that wherever I can.
There's some things on drums that like you can conceptualize in your head, and just based on stuff you've done, it just happens whenever you play it. And I just had this like kind of like almost off balance feeling to go with this different rhythm in his guitar. and it just involved a lot of bell and like ghost notes kind of stuff.
So sick.
It feels really good to go from, you know, this like straightforward thing to this like almost wavy feel and right back into it. So I really like that part.
We haven't decided on titles yet, but I think we're going to go with the title New Politics, because this is the first time that we've ever talked about, you know, socio-political issues before. Like, I mean, everybody came out of this past year having a lot of very strong feelings, and we're no exception to that. Normally I try and keep my lyrics pretty, like, fairly vague, but this one was like, nope, I'm gonna say exactly what I'm thinking. So that was also, like, felt like a cornerstone for me.
That one was probably the most organic sound, so there's a lot of elements in that are recorded kind of live. You know, we would do a lot of stuff with Alex where he would just keep taking a part on guitar over and over again until we kind of grabbed it all the way through one time. So Salt ends up having a lot of really cool organic things where, you know, maybe one note would be off on guitar, but it just sounded really cool to kind of bleed over into the next section, or, you know, how we tracked acoustic, how we tracked vocals. Like, we would track vocals here in the mix room. So Josh was, you know, 6 inches away from me when we were tracking, and it was just this instant connection back and forth of tracking vocals. And this is Chase and I's, like, 30th song together, essentially, like, tracking drums. So we just spoke this language. We got to set up Alex's stuff in a way that just represented him. And so really the most important thing is capturing who they are as they're playing, and then, you know, letting that stand and be what the record is.
Michael said this really well, but he said that it was like, it felt like a rock and roll band was coming into the studio and recording, because it was fun. We were hanging out, having a good time. We were drinking some beers and going out and getting food, and it was just really relaxed. And I feel like with that sort of atmosphere, it's not too difficult to make good music.
There's a few times during recording where you can hear people laughing. You can hear, you know, Grand Theft Auto in the background, just pure anarchy happening on Xbox, and it's actually captured. Like, in the vocal take, there's, you know, beers being opened up, or people laughing, or video games, and it was, that to me is more honest as a representation to how the record went.
I say this every time, but I'm more excited for this than I've ever been with anything we've done. I really, really want to just lay this out, like, for Springfield especially, and to just say, hey, like, this is who we are, this is what we've got, this is where we're going. Do you want to be a part of it?
With Talk and with this stuff, we're definitely just doing what we want to do, which is, I feel like that's kind of the most, like, rock and roll way that you can go about it. It's not about, like, how heavy your music is or anything like that. It's about you doing what you want and being happy with it.